So it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, so welcome back to Stormhawk's Headcannon. And in here, in Stormhawk's Headcannon, basically what this is a video talking about the lore I kind of created for Stormhawks, because there's a lot of open-ended stuff. And yeah, this is kind of like talking about storylines and ships and all that, so yeah. So let's talk about All Hail Aerrow. All Hail Aerrow is a storyline that was kind of around the whole idea that Cyclonus and Aerrow were twin siblings who were separated at birth. So the story is that a assassination attempt is put out on the Master Cyclonus, and she's left heavily wounded, but her crystals are keeping her alive and allowing her to heal. She's kind of gone into like a coma to heal. The problem is that what happens after that is that there's no heir to Cyclonia. She has no heirs or relatives as far as we know, and there's now stirrings of like who's going to rule Cyclonia while Master Cyclonus is away. So there's obviously going to be some battle lines, and a civil war may brew out. But what happens is this character who I created called Zolomon, and Zolomon is basically this. He's known as the lore keeper. He is known as the lore keeper of Cyclonia. He handles all of like the religion and customs and traditions and all of that. He's basically like he carries all the knowledge of Cyclonia and its people. So in here, Zolomon was aware of that there is another. He basically tells Dark Ace and the other the other top lieutenants in Master Cyclonus' entourage is like, look, you guys can't fight. You guys literally cannot fight each other over this because yeah, this is none of you have a right to the throne. However, and to which Ravis is like, because Ravis is already thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna take over. But Ravis is like, well, there's no one else to rule. And he's like, oh, there is another, and let me go get him. And they're like, him? Now, at this point, no one really knew. There were only a handful of people that knew that Aerrow and Cyclonus were twin siblings, and Aerrow wanted to keep that on the down low after finding out about this information from Argaian. But yeah, he told the other he told the rest of his squadron, because obviously they're family. And they're all like, well, what are we supposed to do with this? Yeah. So Zolomon comes along and is like, hey, Master Cyclonus has been, someone attempted to assassinate her, and we need a Master Cyclonus. And Aerrow, as you can imagine, is really hesitant at first to take up the throne. Because, A, he knows that no one in Cyclonia is going to listen to a Stormhawk. Or a Sky Knight of any, to take up the throne, no matter if he has lineage to Cyclonus or not. And B, there's going to be a lot of pissed off Sky Knights when they discover that one of their own is really related to a Cyclonian. And Zolomon goes, well, you got to do this, or there's going to be a civil war. And if you thought a Cyclonia with a Cyclonus was bad, imagine what it would be like without one rule, stemming it. So Aerrow takes this opportunity, he's like, fine, I'll go, but he thinks that maybe if I go there and take control of the Cyclonian Empire, maybe I can change it. Maybe I can have a chance of changing it, and maybe finally get peace. If I'm the king, they'll have to listen to me at some point, and maybe I can bring an end to this war. So that's the idea Aerrow goes into. And as you can imagine, not a lot of people are excited on either side. So yeah. Also, Aerrow is like, well, even though Cyclonus is a horrible human being, she's still my twin sister, so I have to make sure she's okay. So the Stormhawks all go there, but it's very evident, Finn is like, they can't do shit to us. We're friends of the king, so he's already thinking about living it up. To which Aerrow goes, no, you can't do this to me, Finn, right now. Finn, you can't. Yeah, he's like, Finn, you have to leave. Because you're causing too much stress. This is a stressful situation, and you acting like you can do whatever you want is not going to help. So that kind of puts some friction between him and Finn when he tells Finn, you have to leave. Go back to Atmosia, we'll be fine. this will all be over soon. But maybe I'll bring you, and maybe you can come back. But as it stands, you cannot be here. You're stressing everybody out. So Finn leaves. He actually goes back to Atmosian-controlled territory and goes to Suzy Lou, because your boy ships them. So yeah, he goes to Blazaris, and he's like, yeah, it sucks. This sucks. My best friend, the guy I considered my brother, has basically told me to fuck off while he plays king. And Aerrow, while he is a good leader of a squadron, he's still struggling to be a king, and the king of some very brutal people. So he is very, like, in between a rock and a hard place, because the Cyclonians respect power. And Aerrow, while he does have a lot of strength, he doesn't have a lot of power in their terms. He needs to show that he can swing a sword and bring it down on enemies. He also needs to, he also considers, he also makes some other rules, that he's like, hey, we're going to withdraw from this Terra and this Terra and this Terra. But then Zolomon, who's advising him, is like, no, you can't do that, because we kind of need those elements and those crystals and the other resources that we harvest from those Terras for the survival of our campaigns. He's like, I don't want a campaign. He's like, I don't want campaigns. I don't, And then he's like, well, you're just signing off this Terra to die, because in case you haven't noticed, there's only two things that grow on Terra Cyclonia. Jack and shit, and Jack got the fuck out of town, so what the fuck are you gonna do? So Aerrow is learning really quick that he just can't say, no more war. He can't say that, because he's starting to realize, whoa. Yeah, and also Aerrow and Piper, along with Zolomon, are slowly kind of understanding the Cyclonian Empire. Piper is really excited for this, because even though they're in enemy territory, she's now getting closer to the Cyclonian lore than most people have in years, because they've always been closed off. So she's very excited for that. Who's not excited for this is, of course, the, Dark Ace and everybody else, because Dark Ace, of course, still has a rivalry with Aerrow. Ravis is still scheming to take the throne, and now she's really causing some trouble. Until Aerrow finally gets to shut that shit down by... He basically is like, alright, if they respect power, they need to respect me in this way. So he goes hand-to-hand fight with Ravis, beats the piss out of her, and also beats the shit out of Snipe for good measure. He beats the shit out of them both with his bare hands. And basically is like, now do you want to screw with me? So, yeah. Aerrow also is, while this is going on, Piper and the other Stormhawks are kind of investigating, well, who tried to assassinate a Cyclonus. It turns out that person was the Sky Council. They tried to put a hit on her with an assassin to end the war. They attempted to end the war through very dirty means, and... they tried to cover their tracks by blowing up a Cyclonian school, a small academy for not just, just for Cyclonian scholars. So Aerrow also gets this wake-up call of this war is tearing everybody apart, and, it's a lot more gray than I thought it would be. So yeah, that was kind of the idea. The story basically ends with Cyclonus waking back up and is like, what the fuck are you doing here, brother? Aerrow concedes the throne back to Cyclonus, but Cyclonus, or Lark is, I use the headcanon name Lark for her. Lark goes, you could have just stayed, as much as I hate you, you are my brother, and you did rule you did rule pretty well as the king, as a Cyclonian. He's like, yeah, that's why I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be a Cyclonian. So, bye, sis. And promptly gets the fuck out of there. So yeah, when Aerrow returns back to Sky Knight controlled territories, he's not exactly welcome, because they're like, yeah, you could have ended the war if you wanted to, but you didn't. All Aerrow could really do was keep the Cyclonians from attacking other Terras or enslaving other people. He just basically put the war at a ceasefire at best. But now that Cyclonus is back on the throne, the war is going to continue. He could have easily killed her in her sleep or launched a coup. Even the Sky Council's like, we could have launched a coup and put you in power and ended the war. And he's like, yeah, you did that already. You already tried to, you tried to end the war really quickly, and through very dirty means, through very low-handed means. So Aerrow, while he's still fighting for the good cause, his faith is now kind of shaken after all of this. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much my another little video. I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about another little Stormhawk's headcanon after so long. It's been almost a year since my last one. But yeah, so you guys tell me in the comments below. What did you guys think of this? Like it, hate it, and comment below. Let me know what you thought of it. And once again, I will see you guys later.